Do you ever wonder how to keep your digital identity as secure as your eternal soul? Well, stay tuned because today on the Ask Ralph show, we're diving into the world of online identity protection from a Christian perspective. Picture this. You're sitting at your computer, sipping your morning coffee when suddenly you notice a strange charge on your bank statement. Your heart races as you realize someone's been shopping with your identity. But fear not, faithful listener, today we're arming you with knowledge to keep your online presence as protected as Noah's Ark. Now, before we jump in, let's take a quick glance at yesterday's show. We tackled the burning question, should you get a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit? I hope you found our breakdown helpful in navigating those financial waters. If you missed it, just go to AskRalph.com and you'll find our complete catalog of episodes. Well, now let's dive into today's topic with a question from one of our listeners. This comes from Vicky from Topeka, Kansas, and she writes this. Dear Ralph, I'm increasingly concerned about the safety of my personal information online. As a small business owner, I handle sensitive data daily, and I want to ensure I'm being a good steward of both my own and my clients' information. How can I protect myself from identity theft online, and how does this tie into biblical stewardship? Thank you so much for your guidance. Well, Vicky, first off, thank you for your excellent question. And to all our listeners tuning in, welcome to another episode of the Ask Ralph Show, Mastering Your Finances from a Christian Perspective. I'm your host, Ralph, and I'm thrilled you've joined us for today's Technology Tuesday show. We're going to tackle Vicky's question head on and explore how we can safeguard our own digital identities while honoring God's call to be good stewards. But before we dive in, let's ground ourselves in Scripture. Let's look at Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3, and it tells us, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. This verse reminds us of the importance of foresight and taking action to protect ourselves from potential harm. Now let's address Vicky's question. How can we protect ourselves from identity theft online, and how does this align with biblical stewardship? So first, let's break down what identity theft really means. It's when someone uses your personal information, like your name, maybe your social security number, or credit card details, and this is the key, without your permission, usually for financial gain. In our digital age, this has become increasingly common, with cyber criminals finding new ways to access our personal data, what they call the dark web. So the question becomes, how can we protect ourselves? Well, let's go through some practical steps. You may have heard these before, but I'm going to reiterate them today on the show. First, use strong, unique passwords. I know you've heard this before, but it's crucial. Use a different password for each account and make them complex. Consider using a password manager to keep track of all of them. I did a show a few weeks ago about password managers, and I highly recommend their use. Think of it like this. Would you use the same key for your house, car, your office? Of course not. Treat your online accounts the same way. Second thing, enable two-factor authentication. This adds extra layers of security by requiring a second form of verification beyond your password. It's like having a security guard check your ID after you've already shown your invitation to the party. Now, I really don't like the simple text message or email message one. I recommend using a third-party authenticator app like Duo or Google Authenticator has one. I personally use both of these, and they are great assets to use and provide a great option for multi-factor authentication. Now, number 3. Be wary of phishing attempts. And these aren't the kind you catch in the local pond. Be cautious of emails or messages asking for personal information. Legitimate companies won't ask for sensitive data via email. They just won't do it. And if you're in doubt, contact the company directly using a known verified number or website. Don't fall trick to the number that's in the email. That's probably a spoof number as well. This is something critical and something I can't stress enough. Fourth, keep all your software updated. I know, I get those pesky update notifications as well. But are you ignoring them? Don't ignore them. They often include important security patches. It's like fixing a hole in your fence before the wolf gets in. These are mission-critical steps that everyone should take on any device you own. Something you got to be looking at. Fifth, use secure networks. You want to avoid conducting sensitive transactions on public Wi-Fi. It's like having a private conversation in a crowded room. You never know who may be listening. You may want to consider a personal VPN, which is called a virtual private network. I recommend using ExpressVPN. You can find them at expressvpn.com or NordVPN, and that's at nordvpn.com. You can also visit our website, reach out to our affiliate links by going to askralphpodcast.com/support. We have all kinds of affiliates there we're building as we grow the show. Now, sixth, monitor your accounts. It's important that you regularly check your bank and credit card statements for any suspicious activity. This early detection can save you a world of trouble. I have many clients who check their accounts daily, but I think you've got to be checking them at least monthly with the arrival of your statement. And finally, seventh, consider identity theft protection services. These services can alert you to potential fraud and help you recover if you become a victim. It's like having a personal security detail for your digital life. Now, I personally recommend products like Norton, but there's a bunch of others, and they're great identity theft services that will alert you when there's an issue. So now you might be thinking, Ralph, this all sounds great, but what does it have to do with my faith? I'm glad you asked that question. Let's talk about how protecting our online identity aligns with our biblical stewardship. In 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10, we're told, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Well, this verse is often applied to spiritual gifts. I believe it extends to all aspects of our lives, including our finances and our personal information. You see, when we protect our identities, we're being good stewards in several ways. Number one, we're stewardship of resources. Our financial resources are a gift from God. By protecting our identities, we're safeguarding these resources so they can be used for God's purposes, whether that's providing for our families, giving to our churches, or even helping those in need. Number two, it's a stewardship of trust. As Christians, we're called to be trustworthy. If we're careless with our own information or the data of others, like Vicky mentioned in her client message, we're breaking that trust. By being vigilant, we're honoring the trust placed in us. Number three, it's about stewardship of testimony. Our actions as Christians should reflect Christ. If we fall victim to identity theft due to negligence on our own part, it could harm our testimony and our ability to effectively minister to others. Number four, it's a stewardship of time. Dealing with the aftermath, and trust me, I've seen these, of identity theft can be incredibly time-consuming. But by taking preventative measures, potentially saving time that can be better spent serving God and serving others. If you've never been through it, it is a time just complete siphon. And number five, stewardship of peace. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 33 says, but whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease without fear of harm. By taking these wise precautions, we're stewarding our peace of mind, allowing us to focus more fully on our walk with God. So now I want to share a personal experience with you all. A few years ago, I nearly fell victim to a sophisticated phishing scheme. I remember sitting at my desk, I received an email that looked exactly like it was from my bank, asking me to verify some information. I was just one click away from entering my details when something didn't quite feel right. I paused, prayed for some discernment. I thought about it and decided to call my bank directly. Lo and behold, it was a scam, and they were getting all kinds of calls that day. Well, this experience taught me two valuable lessons. First, always trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. I think that's something God has given each of us, this ability to have this instinctual understanding of what's going on. Second, and more importantly, it reminded me of the importance of seeking God's wisdom in all areas of our lives, even in something as seemingly mundane as checking our emails. So what can you do today to protect yourself better online and avoid identity theft? So here's 5 actionable steps. Step 1, audit your passwords. Take an hour this week to go through your important accounts and update any weak or duplicate passwords. Truth is, a password manager is a great way to handle this task and provide updated passwords. Step number 2, set up two-factor authentication. Enable this feature on your email, on your bank accounts, and on social media accounts. Truth is, most of them require it now, but some don't, so I would definitely recommend it. This is critical, and it's something you need to do today to protect your identity online. Step number 3, check your credit report. I don't know if you know this or not, but you're entitled to 1 free credit report from each of the 3 major credit bureaus every year. I advise you to take advantage of this to monitor for any suspicious activity. And you can get them all at annualcreditreport.com. And I'll have all these links in the show notes. Step number 4, educate yourself. Stay informed about the latest online scams and phishing techniques. Knowledge is power. You may want to check out www.identitytheft.gov. It's a great resource put together by the U.S. government. You can report frauds. You can read about the different ones that are going on. I checked it out yesterday. It's really a pretty good site. And finally, step number 5, pray for wisdom. Ask God for discernment in managing your online presence and for protection against those who might seek to do you harm. All right, well, let's recap what we've covered today. I know we covered a lot. We've learned that protecting our online identity is not just a matter of personal security, but also a form of biblical stewardship. We've explored practical steps to safeguard our digital lives, from using strong passwords to being cautious about phishing attempts. We've also seen how this ties into our Christian walk directly as we strive to be good stewards of our resources, the trust, the testimony, the time, and peace. Remember this, as Proverbs 22:3 reminds us, the prudent see danger and take refuge. In our digital age, being prudent means taking proactive steps to protect our online identities. So if you found this information helpful, I encourage you to visit our website. That's at askralph.com. Join our community and share this episode with others who might benefit from this knowledge. Remember, when you join our community, you'll receive a free copy of my book. This is right here, Mastering Your Finances. It's a $10 value on Amazon, but it's our gift to you for being a part of our community. And don't forget, we'd love hearing from you, just like this message we got today. Send in your questions for the show. After all, answering your questions is what the Ask Ralph show is all about, and I love answering questions. Well, tune in tomorrow when we'll be discussing what are 7 financial perks of maintaining great credit. I'm going to lay it out for you, the benefits to having great credit. That's one you don't want to miss. So as we wrap up, I want to thank you all for listening. Remember, in all things, including our online lives, we're called to be good stewards. So let's commit to protecting our digital identities, not just for our own sake, but as a testament to our faith and trust in God. And as I always say, until next time, stay financially savvy, and God bless you, and work on those action items today.
Thank you for joining us on the Ask Ralph podcast. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. And remember, financial issues don't have to be complicated. Just ask Ralph. The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media, Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.